right? Right, well, you've digested that phrase then in that case. An old boss of mine used to use this phrase all the time. Nice guys finish last. It's something that never sat well with me, but I think it's something that's endemic in the business world today. Entrepreneurs that are starting out in their business journey are hit with phrases like this. They're also hit with other phrases like fake it until you make it. Cash is king. Look after the bottom line and nothing else. Hustle every day. But let's analyse that for a second. If you're a customer, how would you feel about a business that you think is just hustling you? That's fake? They just want your cash and nothing else. Sure, as a business owner, you might win that contract. You might fake it long enough to make that sale. But how long is it going to take until the real you shines through? How long is it going to take until you've exhausted your potential audience and there's no trust left in your business anymore? Now, it doesn't take much searching online to find brands and businesses such as these Instagrammers who've tried to fake it and ultimately hurt their brand as a result. And they've got no trust left in their business anymore. So why do advisors advise startup business owners to act in this way? Well, we've got to put our heads in the mind of a business owner. So you've spent ages getting your product and your proposition right. You want to take it to market. But why would somebody buy your product above the product of a more established business? Somebody who's already got credibility in the marketplace. Why should they buy you? But like the competition, you've got all the overheads every other business has. You've got salaries to pay, you've got rent to pay for your accommodation, you've got bills at the end of every single month. The need for cash is mounting up. So along comes a contract. It's maybe not what you do as a business. So you think, why not? Why would I not look at that? It might bring in some much needed cash, despite the fact that I might fail. I might not get it right. It might harm the trust for my business. Okay, you could fake it long enough to get that cash in the door. But ultimately, will that harm be there? So, why wouldn't you take it? Ask yourself that. It's at this early stage that most startup business owners are more vulnerable than ever. They're out looking for advice and they're taking as much advice as they can in, but it's all too easy to take that wrong advice. So I'm here today to call out what I see as that wrong advice that you should fake it to make it, that you can't be nice, that you can't be good. Now, I work in social media, and me and my team are at the forefront of the negativity that some brands can receive when they come across as fake. So, it's not a nice place to be, believe me. But if we can return to some of the words that I've used earlier on in this conversation, words like fake, hustle, untrustworthy, and cash. I don't know about you, I feel uncomfortable having them on screen, far less that being a business that I would want to buy into or become a long-term customer of. But what if we go for a different approach? What if we go for an approach where we replace those words with some alternatives? Oops. Sorry, you've seen my entire speech now. We replace them with some alternatives, things like transparent, helpful, inspiring, and investment. How would a business like that look? Now, I get what you'll probably be thinking. How can a business survive without cash? Clearly, it can't survive without cash. You know, you've got bills to pay, salaries to honour at the end of every single month. But to me, the focus should not be on cash. Cash is an output of a good business model. It's not the focus. So, if we move forward, how would a business look that is like this instead of that? I need to caveat this. I'm not going to talk about businesses like social enterprises. Social enterprises are set up to do good by their very nature. They give all of the profits away to some charitable giving. And I'm also not talking about big corporations making hundreds of millions of pounds in profits and taking a small percentage of that and giving that to charitable giving. These aren't the sort of businesses that I'm talking about doing good. I'm talking about a business that can be described as good from the inside and out. That business will be transparent, internally and externally. It will help its entire marketplace, not just itself. It's there to inspire an industry, and it will invest in its teams, and it will invest in the marketplace to drive things forward. A business like that has transparency. If there's a business that's transparent, there is no hidden agenda. It can't come across as fake. People buy into the business, and they trust that business as the result. A helpful business, like I said, doesn't just look after itself. It looks after the wider network round about it, and therefore builds a trusted network of people who buy into that business. It's there to inspire. It creates an energized marketplace. If the business inspires, it gets change, not from within, but within the competition as well. And investment, it's not funding investors. What you're funding is teams. If you buy into the teams will invest in your business. The clients will then get that investment in return, and then they will invest in you. And ultimately, it pays dividends. And the reality of that is those dividends are what the investors were looking for in the first place. So, I've already seen a shift in the marketplace, and some businesses starting to do this. And it's often transparency that they lead with. So I'm going to take a straw poll. For a brand like Monzo, can I get a show of hands? Who's heard of the online bank Monzo? Right, literally the whole room. And another show of hands, customer or not, who has a bad thing to say about Monzo? Nobody. I don't know how many other banks you could say that about. The reason that that's the case is because Monzo set out transparency as being key to the way that they set their business model up. They record their company meetings. They broadcast their company meetings. Now that's in stark contrast to the other banking world that conjures up images of fat cats counting cash in boardrooms that are closed. And the result is that Monzo is disrupting the marketplace massively. And then if we take the flip opposite to that, small one-person micro-businesses like those Instagrammers that I showed you earlier, it's interesting to see the way the dynamic shift has happened. If we look at the way that brands are working with influencers, they've moved away from the people who command hundreds of millions of an audience. The reason is because brands need to come across as real and authentic. And somebody holding up a product and charging £10,000 for that post is no longer real and authentic. That doesn't work anymore. So hopefully what you're now hearing is that there needs to be a shift in the way that businesses are advised at the start to act. Because unless there's real, authentic communications coming out from that business, they won't succeed in my eyes. Now, there's one final story I want to talk to you about, and it's my own story. So summer 2016, I was starting up my business, Hydrogen, and this was my office. My home office upstairs. I was juggling a 1-year-old son with starting up the business, and every other entrepreneur knows this journey. You're trying to figure out what your brand is, you're trying to set up your website, you're trying to basically define who you were. And I was trying to say the story of who we were, despite the fact it was only me in the business. The reason I say who we were is because my vision for the business was that it wasn't just going to be a 1 or a 2-man consultancy. It was going to be an agency. I had the choice at that point in time to decide to fake it, to go out to potential customers and describe a whole team of people sat in an office that didn't exist, build a website, build an online persona that makes me look bigger than I actually am. I didn't. I decided at that point in time to tell customers who I actually was, explain to them that it was only me, but get them to buy into the vision of the journey that I wanted to take the business on. In return, they trusted in me, and we built a connection that meant that I supported them and they supported me moving forward. Fast forward 3 months, I'd moved office down the stairs to my dining room. There was 3 of us now, and it's December the 1st, 2016. We were working on our first client. We were actually a business. We were defining who we would be. And when I mean who we would be, how we would help and how we would differentiate ourselves from the rest of the market. We decided at that point in time, what we would do is create content that energizes the bottom of the marketplace. We would create educational content that would support startups. We would support students. We would do everything that we could to energize the bottom of the marketplace. Since then, Hydrogen has probably spent thousands of man-hours delivering free tutorials, writing blog content, educational content, all aimed at a market we don't target ourselves. Why would we do that? We're a startup after all. Well, the reason is because without there being an energized bottom of the marketplace, our target market at the top doesn't exist. Therefore, you have to educate the bottom to make the top exist. Fast forward to today. Hydrogen, that little business that I set up in 2016, It's Scotland's largest social media agency. We've doubled turnover year on year since we started. We've now got a 3,000 square foot office in Glasgow. We also have an office in London. And we work with brands like Subway, SSE, Highland Park, and Crime Stoppers, to name a few. Last year, we won the Best Social Media Agency in the Social Media Agency Communications Awards. And if there's one thing I can leave you with as a final thought, let's take that original statement that I put on the screen, and can we change that? Don't fake it. Work hard. Do good by yourself, your peers, and your competition. And you will make it, because everybody likes a nice guy. Thanks for listening.